Everybody, I've been told that the 20, 30-minute videos aren't working out so well because you all have lives and you don't have 20, 30 minutes to denote to watching a video. And I respect that. I understand that. So hopefully I can get you a little 5-minute snippet of exactly what we're looking at and some of the questions I've gotten in regards to this levy and the referendum. So the first thing to know about is in terms of revenue, EAV, levy, these are all terms that people have heard a lot about. And most common question is, well, my property value goes up. Why is the school not getting more money? That's a great question. So in the last presentation, I want to make sure everybody understands. So this is my little teeter-totter example, okay? So as a school district being tax capped, I can only go up by what CPI is telling me. So last year was around just over 1%. So as a school, I can ask for 1% more. In the last few years, it's been exactly around there, 1.5%, 2%. So as a school district, we can kind of move this pin up by 1 or 2%. Now, what happens is if this is my property values and my property values continue to go up, the rate goes down. And that's a good thing for our property payers, because if your value is higher and your rate's lower, that helps you out. Now, if your property goes down, you'll notice the rate goes up. And if you watched one of the presentations previously, you saw that little 10-year snippet where Beecher's property values went way down, and you'll notice your levies actually went way up. So there's a correlation there. And so as a school, we can kind of slide this up little by little, but if we keep our property values going up, our rate will go back down. But as a school, I can never ask more than what that middle part is. I can't do this. So even if my property values shoot way up, which is great, I can't do this with my revenues, okay? So hopefully that kind of explains a little bit of why property values continue to go up, which is a great thing, but why are the schools not getting more money? That's why, because you can only go up a little bit, and then this kind of fluctuates with all of that. The second thing, in terms of what this is talking about, you have two kind of classifications, if you will. You have operating costs and you have reserves. These are two separate concepts. And I think there's a misconception that the referendum that we're looking for is addressing reserves. That's not a true statement at all. The reserves are kind of like your savings account. So if we have a little bit extra, we're able to stash it off into the reserves. What we're looking for is a referendum that addresses that operating costs. And the operating costs are your staff, your maintenance of buildings, things like that. Month-to-month expenditure. So like on a personal note, I obviously have a job. I'm the superintendent. I have a family. Every month, my family has bills. We have groceries we pay, cable bill, power, electric, things like that, gas bills. So that's my operating costs. Every month, I have money that I have to make sure that goes out. Just like a school system, I have salary that I have to pay for. I have buildings to maintain. I have school buses to continue. I have IMR, all these things. These are all part of your operating costs, not part of your reserves. So we're hoping not to touch any of this unless we do special projects. So in time, that operating cost goes up. That's what we're looking to continue to go up. Now, people are asking, well, you just did air conditioning. Well, that's not a true statement. We did HVAC. So we addressed boilers, air quality, air ventilation, and air conditioning as part of that. So what we did as a school district, we said, all right, we had $13 million in the bank. As a person who has a family, my operating costs are my month to month. My furnace breaks down. I have two options when my furnace personally breaks down. I can go to my savings account. If I'm lucky enough to have a savings account, I can pull from my savings account, reserves, and I can pay off the heater, furnace, air conditioning, whatever project I had. Or if I'm not lucky enough to have a reserve, I can go to the bank and ask for a loan, a bond. Okay. The HVAC project was taken from reserves, not your operating costs. So when we are talking about 575 increase, that's your operating cost. This is going to allow me to continue to employ all the teachers and all the aides and all those opportunities. That's what we're looking to do with that 575. Because in nature, what happens is my revenues are here, and this happened to every tax district will go through this. Your revenues are up here, and your expenditures are down here, which is a good thing. That's where Beecher has been for eons, because at the time it wasn't it was that separation. But remember, I'm only allowed to go up that 1 or 2% every year. So let's go 1%. Teacher salary was 3%, 2.5%, 2%, and 3%. Those are just the teacher's salaries alone, not talking about aides, not talking about stipends, anything like that. So if this goes up by 1, even if it's 2, this sooner or later starts catching up. It's like the tortoise and the hare. The hare is way out in front. Our revenue back in the day, way out in front of our tortoise. expenditure, which is a good thing. Okay. And this is what allowed us to put some money into the reserves. So lucky enough, Beecher was able to have reserves. But sooner or later, if this continues to go up by 3, 4, 5%, and this only goes up by 1, maybe 2%, it catches up with it. Every school district, almost every school district that has tax cap in a PTEL district will run into this case. Okay, it's a fact, because sooner or later your revenue can't keep pace with expenditures. We can't keep pace with inflation. So now we're here. So that's where Beecher's at. Now, again, my job is obviously to address this part of it. We're going to do what we can to keep this, kind of slow this down the best we can by cutting some of the expenses that go to year. We're going to look to address that. Again, operating costs. What I'm asking for in the referendum is to take that revenue and give it a little bump back up. And so at 575, that little bump is going to give us another decade or so to where we don't have to worry about those expenditures. And again, going back to my example. So what I'm asking for at 575, so my levy is going to really do this. It's going to jump. Now, in the years going into this, as long as my property value continues to go up, remember this property value is here. If my property value goes up, my 575 goes back down. Okay, so that's really important to remember. So if property values continue to go up, even when I reset it at 575, that rate's going to go down again in the years to come. Okay, and then we're looking at a good spot. And I made a comment at the last open house. My goal is not to take operating costs and start funding reserves anymore. So what we're looking for is we're gonna take care of operating costs, and then as we find out we have additional monies to spend within those operating costs, we're going to start addressing some of the bigger items. And that's kind of what we're looking for. The goal here is not to take operating costs, ask taxpayers to put a whole bunch of more money in, and then start funding our reserves and sit on it. That is not my intention. That is not what I want to do. And so that's why I want to make sure everybody's clear on that. The HVAC came out of the savings account. It's done. Okay, that's part of the reserves. Operating costs are completely separate. The operating costs will lead to reserves if we have an overage. That's a good thing. Just like the other way around, though, if my operating costs don't fit, then I got to pull from the reserves, and there's a finite amount of money that can go back this direction. And so that's kind of where we're at. I'm sorry, 7.5. This is actually the third time I've done this video. I'm around 7 minutes. I apologize, but that's kind of a snippet of it all. I'll also do this, have this conversation at the board meeting tonight. Otherwise, thanks everybody. Hopefully 7 minutes is doable in terms of schedules. Have a great day.